we're live, brother. How you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good, man. It's pretty good start to the show, man. I'm over here watching it. There's like 20 people that were already in the room before we started, man. That's pretty good. I know that number keeps going up higher and higher. Hopefully get to Josh Pate numbers, man. That dude, I think, hit a record last night, man. He had 3,100 people watching him for damn near 2 hours.
Yeah, it was a good show,
which
too.
Is crazy, which is a really, really good show. If you had an opportunity to go watch Josh Pate and his previews, really going through all the conferences last night, it gives you a thought, man. He's kind of where we are. Not to start off with him, but he's kind of where we're at, man. At eight wins and 4 losses. You know, with I think a 10
best
and 2,
case of 10-2,
10-2, and in a worst case, we don't want to talk about that number again. So
right.
we'll leave it at 8-4 and 10-2, man. But obviously, we're getting closer. I think we're 12 days out from game time, man. Game time, and really, really excited. I know me and Jeremy are trying to nail down some dates so that we can give you an idea when we're coming on. I think that's important for y'all as well. I know we're kind of sporadic at this point. It's because we had more time on our hands. But as things start, Jeremy's kind of in the process of clearing one unit and going to another unit. You know, he's in the Army, and then he'll start be on leave for a little bit, and he'll go to another unit here shortly. And then just like everybody else, just like the student athletes and the students there at the University of Texas started school, and most of the kids that started school. I actually started school today as well, trying to knock out 3 classes while I'm also working full time and doing Texas football talk stuff. So we're trying to nail down some dates right now. I think it's Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Yeah, is when we plan on doing it. So without further ado, man, let's talk about this press conference that Steve Sarkisian had today.
Can I do one thing real quick?
Yes, sir.
Because you talked about Monday, Thursday, Saturday, trying to keep the schedule so these guys know exactly when we're going to go. It's probably going to be 7 or 8 o'clock, most times 7, sometimes 8. Depending upon what's going on. And then, of course, you guys know we built a pretty deep bench over the last couple of weeks, having Rod Babers, Nino's Corner, Stephen and Gotti, went on with Locked on Longhorns. So there may be times when Clint's unavailable or got stuff going on where I might just call one of those guys to pitch hit and work a show with me if there's a whole lot of news going on. But most times it's going to be me and Clint, like I said. But I do want to do one more thing. We are 40 away from 4K. Everybody knows over the last couple of weeks we've been promoting that. We want to be at 4,000 subscribers. Would love to be at 4,000 subscribers before September 3rd, the ULM game. Yesterday was a record for us. 75 subscribers out of season. Josh Pate, again, we love his show, says there is no offseason in college football, and I'm starting to believe that too. But 75 subscribers in one day in August when the season hasn't started. Absolutely phenomenal. Really appreciate everybody who jumped on board and started subscribing yesterday. Got several new members of the Inner Circle yesterday. Really appreciate that too. Like Clint said, sometimes you just feel obligated, or not necessarily obligated, but to come on when the news cycle is not real thick, because folks are continuing to come back and like the content, subscribe to the content, and join our membership program. So really, really, heart goes out to every single one of you who subscribed yesterday and the new members of the Inner Circle. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I hit that because, obviously go to the YouTube studio to kind of see where you're at, man. And growth is something that has happened. And it's not just from the subscribers or the Inner Circle. It's views too, because our views currently, our average views have gone up damn near 1,000 over the last 90 days on the lives, man. We were currently sitting, I think about 90 days ago, we were sitting about maybe a little less. We're sitting about 2,000, viewers per live show. And as of yesterday, or actually this morning, as I've read it, it was currently average 3,000 viewers per live show, which is crazy to think where we were at last year versus where we're at now. And again, we haven't even started the season yet. So,
and it's only getting better because yesterday was 4,800 within 24 hours. Stephen Gotti was like over 4,000. Nino, I know, show is pushing 4,000. So it's consistently at that 4,000, 5,000 mark within 48 hours of publish. So again, thank you for the continued support. We're going to keep firing content at you as long as you're willing to watch it.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's talk about Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian, because Steve Sarkisian obviously had to talk about his decision from Friday. And it was, I would say, when you go back and listen to the 14 minutes of 49 seconds of press conference he did today, media availability. I wouldn't say so much press conference, but media availability. I would say that about 12 minutes of it talked about the quarterbacks. 90% of it talked about quarterbacks, the quarterback room, Hudson Card, Quinn Ewers, why he chose Quinn Ewers, and I'll kind of let you get into your thoughts, on or really what he was talking about when he chose Quinn Ewers, man, or why he chose Quinn Ewers.
It's the same things we've been saying over the last couple of weeks and pretty much since Quinn Ewers transferred in the program. Just the arm talent, the boom factor, the ability to make every throw from sideline to sideline. Again, Rod B talked about it last week. The players themselves, all the key contributors bought into Quinn Ewers. He's on just about every social media post from other players. Again, there was a time when Xavier Worthy had Quinn Ewers as his Instagram photo. So the players were definitely behind him. Again, Rod will call it the election, but for me, a football guy, I was looking strictly at the X's and O's and execution and who could give me the best chance to run my offense and be as proficient as I possibly could. Now, yeah, there's going to be growing pains. Steve Sarkisian said that today, not just with the quarterback room, but because you got 57 out of 85 guys that are freshmen and sophomores. Your offensive line is more than likely going to start 2 freshmen. Like I say, you got a freshman single caller who got some time at Ohio State, was in a good program, like Steve Sarkisian said today, was a Rose Bowl champion, so he got experience as Ohio State, but less on the football field, more about the program and travel and game day execution and game week. Like Coach Sarkisian said, they're going to start this week is game week. They're going to have a demo game on Saturday. But the reason why Quinn Ewers was chosen by Steve Sarkisian to be the starting quarterback at the University of Texas was because he can make every throw, and he's going to give him what he can handle in the playbook, and they're going to go do it.
Yeah, he talked about that, making every throw, but also, throwing off, from different arm angles, playmaker. He gives you off schedule. He gives you the ability to, and I think that was the biggest thing I took away from it. Is he gives you the opportunity to make splash plays or make plays where they may not be there. And I think that goes back to maybe trusting where the offensive line is, having to start, a couple of true freshmen. Is the ability probably to be able to escape the pocket and throw from different arm angles, but still be able to make the throws that Steve Sarkisian needs for him to make them. Somebody asked him about his ability to, make high percentage throws, and he says that's not a problem for him. That's not a problem for him at all, man. He's going to put it on a dime. He's going to put it where it needs to go. And I think that's exactly what happened this weekend. He said it was very high percentage. Played really, really well. Very high percentage throws, and then at the same time, I think there was a couple of interceptions there, but he said it wasn't all on the quarterback as well. It's something they need to talk to the offensive line about, making blocks, and then as well as the receivers.
Yeah, Chip Brown was the one that asked the question about Quinn Ewers' accuracy. Was he concerned about Quinn Ewers' accuracy? And I don't know if I think it was Friday's show when we did it after he was named the starter. Somebody asked us in the chat what our projections were for Quinn Ewers, and I said somewhere around a 70%. I expect him to be at a 70% completion percentage, just from the kind of numbers he was able to put up at South Lake Carroll, the receiver's ability to get distance from the defensive backs and be open, and like I said, his ability to throw from every angle. If he has a clean pocket, he's going to be very, very accurate. But 70% completion percentage, somewhere between 35 and 42 touchdowns, and then probably an interception per game is where I was, maybe a little bit more, is probably what you're going to get out of Quinn Ewers. And I think Josh Pate's projection of best case 10-2 wouldn't be 10-2 if Hudson Card was a starting quarterback. And I just say that to say this, not to bang on Hudson, because Steve Sarkisian praised him again in the press conference. He's been a great teammate. I know he's going to continue to do that this year as Quinn Ewers' backup. He's going to be ready to go when necessary. But that boom factor, that ability to make plays, like I said, if I'm down 7 or 4 late in the fourth quarter and I need to make a throw from one hash to the other hash, he's the guy that I could trust would do it. Those over down the seam throws that we saw the quarterbacks consistently miss Xavier Worthy last year, I don't think that's an issue with him. I think if Xavier Worthy or anybody, Jatavian Sanders, is running free down the seam, I think he's going to hit him 9 times out of 10. And want to say 9.5 times out of 10. Like very minimal. If a receiver's running wide open, is Quinn Ewers not going to deliver the ball where they need to have it and while they're still moving down the field.
Talking about Quinn Ewers, obviously there was some conversation there about him not understanding, maybe, not having IQ to understand Steve Sarkisian's playbook, which is a large playbook. It's huge, right? He believes in not just running one type of offense. He's going to run multiple type of offense. In the RPO run game leads to RPO leads to, the passing game and so on and so forth, right? But he talked about it today. He says, yes, there's a package right now that we're working with Quinn on. We're going to make sure that we understand what he's really, really good at. And as you move on to next week, and he talked about next week, he talked over the next 5 days. These are the things we're going to find out. We're going to find out exactly what Quinn Ewers can do from an offensive standpoint. But as we start moving through next week, we're gonna start throwing more things on his plate and find out what he's really good at. And I think that's important because I don't think you're so much just worried about ULM. I think you're starting to game plan over the next 2 weeks for Alabama. Not Absolutely. That you're overlooking ULM, but part of that game plan, and they may not say it. They may not say it out loud, but to the players, because they don't want them to overlook ULM. But some of those playbook that they're looking at on the offensive side of the ball is definitely going to have to do with what they plan on doing against Alabama, because Steve Sarkisian knows Alabama. He knows their defense. He knows the defensive coordinator. He hung out with him for a couple of years there. So he probably don't know so much of the players because those guys coming in and out, but he does know that defensive staff. And so he probably understands what their tendencies are. So he's already planning on what they're doing. And they've probably been working on that since the spring or the end.
And I was smiling because if folks got a chance to watch Sunday, we talked about this, that Steve Sarkisian owes it to Quinn Ewers to give him the playbook that he excels at, which he said today. And then what we said yesterday was those things that he's not doing so well, they will place into individual drills like he talked today. They will give him a little segment of practice to concentrate on those plays that he's not executing the way Steve Sarkisian wants. He called it a little box. Those plays go in a little box, and they'll pull them out during individual, and they'll pull them out during segments of practice to give them extra reps at it until eventually they can pull it out of the little box and put it in the playbook. And the other reason I was smiling was because we've been saying this for a while with ULM is as many different personnel packages as you possibly can, as many sets as you possibly can, as many different formations as you possibly can to put on film. Somebody suggested they run Rojo Wildcat for the first half of the for the ULM game and then go to a conventional personnel package in the second half. I don't think Steve Sarkisian is going to do Wildcat for an entire half of football, but I get what they're saying. They're saying, hey, we run if this offensive line, because that's what the freshmen were touted to be able to do really, really well, especially DJ Campbell and Kelvin Banks, were to run the football behind them. They were saying establish the run in the first half and then open up the passing game in the second half. Like I said, I don't think they'll do that, but you'll probably get a little bit of Wildcat for a series. Just again to put it on film to give Alabama something else to prepare for before that game on September 10th. But you're exactly right. But I like the little box. Like I said, he's getting 80 to 90% of the playbook probably that he's executing well, and then in that other 10 to 20% is in that little box, and they'll bring those things out as they feel like he has gained confidence. Whether the chemistry is there with the receiving core, the line is continuing to hold up in pass protection. Some of those things from that box will find themselves in the playbook, and then they'll get executed probably around the start of conference season.
I'll go back a little bit. Steve Sarkisian, they asked him about his decision making. Why he chose to, or when he decided to make Quinn Ewers his quarterback. He said, I slept on it Thursday. I kind of went to bed understanding when my head hit the pillow that Thursday night. He kind of understood who he wanted to bring in. He woke up that Friday morning. He wanted to name a starting quarterback before that second scrimmage, and I thought that was important. We had talked about that. Because you only get so many scrimmages. You only get so many practices. Again, school starting today. Now you're going into really game prep week. You're going into, instead of scrimmages, they'll probably play a game on Saturday, or go through I think a lot of it's on Saturday is going through the motion of a game. Getting calls in from the press box, making sure your second and third teams are ready, or you're ready to roll guys in as they need to come out, and really go through the motion of that first game is what's going to happen on Saturday. So I don't know how much real time, game or really reps that he's going to get from that, because I think it's more just going to be an emotion thing. But I think it was absolutely important. We thought it was important that he named him now versus waiting until, really, I hate to say it, this week, and not be able to get him 80% of those reps on Saturday that he needed.
The mock game. I'm interested to hear about this as we get closer to Saturday. because I don't think you get a whole lot out of a mock game with a 7 p.m. kick. Although 2 of their first 3 games are at 7. The UTEP game is at 7. The ULM game is at 7. I'm running my mock game for that 12 o'clock kickoff against Alabama. I want these guys to know what it's like to get up at 6, to get to the field house, by a certain time, to walk out and prep and feel. I don't think it's going to be as hot this weekend as it would be on September 10th or maybe it will be, because we've got, unseasonably cool temperatures here in August. There's rain outside, there's moisture. But I would set that mock game up probably for that 12 o'clock start rather than that 7 o'clock start that you're going to get against ULM, just so they could see what that early game prep looks like. Because, again, you get up at normal time for a 7 o'clock kick. You probably go to the stadium no earlier than 3 o'clock on a 7 o'clock kick. But a 12 big noon Saturday, you gotta establish your rhythm pretty doggone early. You got to worry about breakfast. You got to worry about getting to, like I said, the field house at a certain time, getting dressed, getting out there for pregame warm-ups, coming back into the locker room, talking to your position coaches. All that, is the clock in the locker room working, like you said, or the headsets working. All those kinks are going to get worked out, this Saturday. But I would like to see them do a mock game at that 12 o'clock start versus the 7 o'clock start they're going to have the following Saturday. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just want to bring up a question. I was going to let you finish here. Just I care more about the Baylor game, Baylor, than Alabama. We're not on their level yet, and we're trying to win the Big 12. Beating Baylor does more than Alabama win, absolutely. But I think Alabama is a litmus test of where your team actually is against the number 1 team in the country. Fans are going to show up. Hell, like you may have both big noon kickoff and damn game day there in Austin that weekend, man. So it's going to be a big game. It's everybody's going to have it on the television. Hell, you better best believe. I'm not sure what time A&M plays, but I promise you, everybody that's an A&M fan is going to be tuning into that Alabama-Texas game. That's the way it's going to be. But I think it's a litmus test against the number 1 team in the country. But it also gives you an idea. Do I think it impacts the Big 12? Absolutely not, because you still have to go out there and win. Play 9 games in the Big 12 to make it to the Big 12 championship. But I just think it's a litmus test. I think it's one of those things that Steve Sarkisian is going against Nick Saban. Hell, you got half the damn Alabama staff that left Nick Saban and now is at Texas. You got players from Alabama. They're going to be hyped up to play for this game because they're playing against Alabama. But it's not every day that a number 1 team walks into your stadium and you have an opportunity to play them. And somebody brought it up, man, you don't know how many recruits are going to be there from the 2023 class to the 2024 class, and hell, maybe the 2025 class are all going to be there. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to go out there and get embarrassed on national television in front of everybody at 11 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, everybody's kind of sad. I think Texas is going to be ready to play. I think Steve Sarkisian is a hell of an offensive coordinator. I think he's going to do really, really. I think the offense is going to look really good at Alabama. I think it's where does the defense stand? Another question we had here, and we may be just guessing here. Who do you think is in the press box and who's on the sideline? I think PK is in the press box. I think he's a press box guy. I think Choate is the one that kind of runs everything from PK down to the field, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's PK. It's PK and Gideon in the box. That's how it was last year.
Yeah,
they may change their mind. But TJ was down on the field. Bo Davis down on the field. Jeff Choate down on the field for the defense. Again, for the offense, your offensive coordinator. I think they're both down there. Kyle Flood and
AJ Milway's up top.
AJ Milway's up top, but Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian, of course, are on the sideline. Be interested to see where Brendan Marion and Tashard Choice end up this year.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Sweaty Pat's going to be up in the press box, passing note cards. Because he can be on the headset. He just can't talk on the headset. Sweaty Pat's going to be up in the press box passing notes, man, because he's the adjustments guy. Right? He's going to be the adjustments guy. Like, hey, dude, we need to adjust to this. Here's an index card. Here's the index card. This is what they're doing. Index card. This is what they're doing. Index card. So Sweaty Pat's going to be up in the press box on the headset, but he just can't talk, man. So that's why I'm excited. How many times you talked about it? How many times are they going to show Gary Patterson in a football game?
The same number of times they're going to show the Manning family when Arch gets here. They're going to show him a lot of love. You're going to see him every quarter. Hey, the defense is doing great. Must be that guy up in the press box. Hey, the defense is doing poorly. Might want to get that guy out of the press box and onto the field. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be talked about a lot, and he deserves the credit that he gets and the attention that he gets because he did more with less for decades at TCU. And like I said, he's one of the biggest offseason acquisitions the University of Texas got, both player and coach. Like, he's right up there with Quinn Ewers in my mind, because what he's going to be able to do for Pete Kwiatkowski on game day and what he's going to do playing chess with Steve Sarkisian during the week when he throws his game plan at him and be like, hey, did you think about this? You think about that? Well, what happens if they, scheme you up like this on defense, to stop Bijan? What's your counter? Again, I think he's Sweaty Pat, as you call him, will be upstairs, and he will be an asset to everybody. And I'm sure he'll be working hard to help both sides of the ball as much as he possibly can.
I'm sorry, man. Hopefully Gary Patterson doesn't watch this video today. He's seeing me call him Sweaty Pat.
He follows on Twitter.
Yeah, I think
he follows a lot of folks on Twitter, but he follows on Twitter. That's pretty cool.
So Isaac Darden, man, I mean, I think it's going to be good to see us against Alabama, no doubt. But I'm not sure that a team like Alabama will tell us too much about where we're at, considering how far ahead they are than us. But you go back and watch that 2019 LSU, right? That came out of nowhere, and how you played them. And if you think about it, that 2018 class was full of a whole bunch of guys. So if you look at that 2019 class, you had a whole bunch of sophomores, right? True freshmen and sophomores that were kind of running out on the field against LSU, and you played them well. But you went on to win a Sugar Bowl that year. Do I think playing Alabama really, really well motivates your team? I don't think it should motivate them, but do I think playing well against Alabama will, obviously make the wins total trajectory higher than what it may be?
But what it'll allow you to do is, if you have 100% effort, 100% discipline, right? If you don't have pre-snap penalties, if you don't bust assignments, if you have gap integrity and you're 100% effort, I think it allows you to truly see the athletic difference in these two football teams. And I'm not going to give them the win. Keelan Robinson, and I believe when he said it, he meant it. I played on both teams. I practiced with both teams. I've looked at both teams. If we give 100% effort and we're 100% disciplined, we can play with Alabama. And I believe so too. But at the same time, it's going to take those two non-negotiables for you to be able to keep it, relatively tight going in the fourth quarter. But if you give me those two teams, then I can go back in the film and I can figure out how I need to upgrade my team. I got to figure out who I need to fill this class, this 23 class out with to compete with the likes of Alabama. So I think nothing but good comes from competing against them. And like you said, if you get those two things, then I'll take my chances. And I think it's going to be a great football game. I think it's going to be played into the fourth quarter as long as there's 100% effort and you are as disciplined. Again, you're going to miss assignments. You're going to not show up in your gap when you have to. But limit those things, give 100% effort, and let the chips fall where they may. And it's going to be nothing but an assessment for your coaches and your program going forward. And like you said, confidence can be gained from a good performance against Alabama. And like the gentleman said a little bit earlier, of course, everybody puts more emphasis on conference games because it leads to a trophy at the end of the year. And that's ultimately the first prize on the way to getting to that second prize, which is competing for a college football playoff appearance and a national championship. Is you got to win a Big 12 championship first. So, of course, I put more into Baylor's win. But, again, there's much to be gained from a good game, good performance against Alabama this year and going forward, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up another comment here in a minute because anytime you get kudos, man, this is really good kudos here, man. Steve Sexton said Choice is too fire to be in the box, but I think Brendan Marion is too. But the thing about Brendan Marion, right, and I think your receivers coach is going to be on the field. I just think that you have to have that communication there. So we'll see where it kind of works out on the field. Hell, you may just have Kyle Flood and AJ Milwee and a whole bunch of analysts in the press box. Because I think you have Brendan Marion and Jashard Choice that bring that fire that me and Jeremy have been looking for on the sideline. Hell, Kyle Flood brought it in the damn spring game. What was it, last year? The year before? Not
this last year, but the
year before, man. And that's one of the things we've been looking for a long time is to bring some fire to somebody's ass that missed a play. You know what I'm saying? On the sideline. I'm not saying embarrass somebody, but at the same time, man, you cost me 15 yards because you out there and make a bonehead mistake, or you miss a block or you miss a tackle. Somebody needs to hear about it on the sideline, But yeah, I think Choice and Marion are kind of hard to take away from the field because of the fire that they bring. The other thing I want to bring up here, because I don't think I've ever seen them or Ken, man, here before. So first comment here, and if you have commented before, I apologize, man. He said y'all are a top 3 Texas channel, and y'all ain't 3. So we'll take that, man. We'll really, really take that, man. I can tell you that me and Jeremy try to put our hearts and minds into what we're doing here. Sometimes it's like today, I'm sitting over here doing homework about 10 minutes prior to the show, but also trying to listen to Steve Sarkisian again, his press conference. But we really do appreciate you, man, for that wonderful comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I because
Yeah.
he said that, can I ask for something real quick? So the attendance just jumped up to 145 folks. There's currently 63 likes. Down below, it's just under the back half of JT Sanders. If you would go down there and hit that thumbs up, that like button, we really would appreciate it. Again, hopped on here, part of our Monday show. Want to talk about what Steve Sarkisian put out today, but great Alabama talk, great conference talk, great who's going to be in the box, who's going to be on the field. Like, all this stuff is exciting. Again, we are 12 days out, Colt McCoy days out from a live football game, September 3rd. I had the producers go ahead and start, building the thumbnails for the in-game chat for the members on Saturday, because, on Saturdays we got to do a thumbnail for the in-game chat and then followed up quickly by the post-game show. So we're trying to get ahead there. She does have the ability to make 4 new emojis. So I've asked her to build Quinn Ewers. Everybody's seen the Sark one. If you haven't seen it, I'll throw it up real quick for you. So she's going to build one for Quinn Ewers, Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy, and Damari Noshon. Those will be the first 4. And as we get members, we get the ability to make more emojis. So please join our inner circle for more than the emojis. But thank you so much for joining. 145 in here, 78 likes. Please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We really appreciate that compliment.
Yeah. Joe Catman, $10 super chat, brother. Thanks, man. So when did the shirts, hats that have the Longhorn logo with a mullet go on sale? I seen something on Twitter the other day. I think Last Stand Hats? I think
yes, Last Stand Hats.
Last Stand Hats, I think is actually building a hat, with the mullet. We don't have any sponsorship with Last Stand's hats. I think that's a Texas Homer thing. I think he's sponsored by Last Stand Hats, but I think they are creating a hat that may come out. I'm not sure if they said September 3rd or September 3rd, September 10th, but it's going to be out there. People are going to be wearing their damn mullets around. I'm actually growing out of mullets here. I don't think they're happy about it at work. I don't want to move around too much, but I'm trying to grow my damn mullet out. You're
definitely closer to me.
Yeah. So,
like you said, I'm clearing it on leave and head down there on September 14th. But it would take a lot of work to be able to grow a mullet. But like I say, the Mullet Man is coming to an emoji near you within the Texas Football Talk chat for your use, Inner Circle members.
We'll get back to that Alabama-Texas chat or conversation here in a minute. Let's kind of finish up Steve Sarkisian's press conference here. I got to get us back on the line here. So talking about Jatavian Sanders, man, and his comment today, he's like, I'm probably going to upset Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, and Bijan Robinson, but he's probably got the best hands on our team. Very strong hands, can make contested catches. He's a guy that we're definitely very excited about. Does he wind up being Quinn Ewers' safety blanket?
Absolutely. Because of the mismatches he's going to have against linebackers and his ability to do just that, catch the football. JT talked about this on his media availability, I think it was Friday, that he's never, somebody asked him why in tech, like, you didn't play tight end at Denton Ryan. You played receiver and you played edge. Why tight end? He said, as soon as I saw that Jeff Banks was going to be the tight ends coach at the University of Texas, that's what I wanted to do. Because everybody knows Jeff Banks' track record as far as producing, wonderful tight ends that end up going to the NFL and having long careers. But at the same time, he talked about how he had to grow in the position, that he wasn't used to inline blocking. But as a pass catcher, again, somebody dropped the I think it was Denton Ryan versus Highland Park highlight today in Twitter. Basically goes up with one hand, and it's a one-handed rebound essentially off the backboard. Basically posts this kid up and just goes up one hand, catches the ball like nothing, like it just stuck. Similar to an Odell Beckham catch back in the day where it just like he just reaching out, but he was reaching up. and the ball just sticks to him like glue, yeah, he's going to be a matchup nightmare, picking on safeties and picking on linebackers. So, again, that's another along with 5 and 0, and 8's going to be open a lot, and 4's going to find himself in seams. There's just I think there's a ton of upgrade at the tight end position, and it begins with JT Sanders and Jalil Billington. I think they are going to be just that, a security blanket for Quinn.
Yeah, and Isaac Darden brings up a good point. We kind of talked about this in our tight end previews. I think it was our tight end previews. JT might be the shine that we thought Nair would be. I was watching the spring game again today, and the way JT gets up the field after the catch is critical to keeping the chains moving. He's big too, man. He's big. It's going to take more than one guy to try to bring this guy down, as you've seen. Obviously, he was talking about him getting hammered out, after he lost that ball when
Jaron Thompson.
Jaron Thompson ripped that thing out in the spring game. He said as soon as he got over the sideline, wait till after the game. Jeff Banks and I'm pretty sure Steve Sarkisian and everybody else let him know, hey man, you got to hold on to that ball. It's good to fight, man, but at the same time in a game experience like that, that's when you hope your big boys start coming down the field and start pushing you into the end zone. But yeah, his talent is there, man. They said he could probably be the best edge rusher that we have, but he wasn't going to play edge rusher, man. Me and you questioned that shit for 2 years? I think
yep.
2 years. But I think he's found his place, man. He said he's learned how to be physical. He don't mind blocking at this point. He's gotten bigger. Somebody said he looks different. Hell yeah, he looks different. So definitely excited about him, man, and his ability to create mismatches against safeties and linebackers.
Gonna do his thing, man.
Somebody's got JT will catch the first touchdown this year. We'll actually talk about that, man, as we start getting probably into next week. Next week we'll come up with some who we think's going to probably, how many yards Bijan's going to get, how many yards Xavier's going to get. We'll start doing that.
It's part of that. Part of that Thursday show next week. Call it our pregame show, but generally like to throw out a score prediction. Generally like to talk about the opponent that week and what they got, coming into the game. And then at the end of the show, we generally do scores and who's gonna go over 100 for receivers, who's gonna go over what's Bijan total yardage, what's Quinn's stat line gonna look like. So yeah, that'll be a week from Thursday. We'll start throwing that stuff out there probably.
Joe Cap said Ricky's got dreads. Quinn's got the mullet. Hell, everybody's got dreads at this point. I think every running back that's come through the University of Texas had dreads at some point. It's like a tradition at this point. The dreads. Everybody from Ricky Williams to Cedric Benson to now Bijan Robinson are rocking those dreads in the back.
Let me hop on the comment side just real quick because I think we talked about this, Dre. Yesterday when we went through our 2 deep on the offensive side of the ball. We did it in 13 personnel, and me and Clint both have Jordan Whittington and Xavier Worthy starting at their 2 positions, and then I had Casey Kane and Clint had Tariq Milton as being that third receiver coming out. But again, that receiving core is deep. If it's not Milton and Kane, then you got Thompson, Jai Hall when he gets back from his suspension. We talked about Savion Red a lot yesterday. Just the wide receiver room continues to still be deep. I know Steve Sarkisian said today that Ajay is doing everything he's asked him to do. He's pleased with what he's done since being suspended. So they'll just continue to ask him to do certain things as long as he continues to do those things they ask from him and be a good teammate, be a good classmate, be a good football player, then I'll find himself back on the football field. And then, like I say, it just adds more depth to an already loaded room, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's like he cut it off fast. He said, I'm pleased with what he's done, and that's the end of that comment.
I'm going to stop addressing it.
Stop stressing it right there. So, but I think at Jai Hall, if he gets his stuff together, you'll definitely see him maybe second game, maybe around probably the Big 12. If he doesn't play at Alabama, you're probably going to see him when the Big 12 starts, if he gets his stuff together and Steve Sarkisian allows him back on the team.
Yep. Ricky, said B, Jamal, Deontay, Bijan, dreads for the win.
Yep. They like them dreads, man. Like them dreads.
Young man in 23 class has them too.
Maybe we
Cedric
can get
Baxter.
Maybe Arch Manning grow the mullet out.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Arch Manning with a mullet.
Very cool, man.
There was a couple of comments I seen up here. K. Laws wants to see more aggression from the defense.
I'm sorry.
You said don't forget
Yeah, because
Troy.
somebody said don't forget Troy, because you always start naming names and you always leave one out. This time it was Troy O'Meara, because he did come back from injury today. Coach Sarkisian said a lot of guys came back from injury. Cole Hudson's already practicing. A lot of those guys we'd heard. Jadae Barron's coming back or this week. And like I said, Coach Sarkisian listed a couple of names that are going to come back this week. Let Sam out real quick.
Sam's got to go. Sam's got to go. Arch Mullets. Let me bring up a comment while Jeremy is there. I think he can still hear us while he's doing that. I was actually looking for a comment here. Let's go talk about the aggression of the defense. This is what I want to see, man. I'm excited to see how aggressive this defense will be this year. Offense, I'm going to say this again. Steve Sarkisian is going to make the offensive go regardless of who he has out there. Obviously, he's got the weapons, man. He's got a Heisman candidate, Bijan Robinson, AP poll. AP put out their preseason
All-Americans.
All-Americans today, and they have Bijan is the number one, which I didn't expect anything different. But they put Xavier Worthy as their number 2. So you have the weapons out there. But to me, the team is going to revolve around what the defense is able to do. And I think that again, average to good defense is going to allow you to win a whole bunch of games. And I think you're going to see a more aggressive defense than you did last year, because hell, without the aggression, you weren't getting a pass rush. So what do you have to go to? You got to go to aggression. And aggression works if you got cornerbacks that you can leave on an island, right? That you can bring a safety down in the box and allow them to be just as aggressive as the front 7. So I'm with you on that. I'm also a defensive-minded guy. I love a lot of points when we're scoring them. But I don't like to give up a lot of points. So I'm definitely excited about that, about the defense this year. We'll kind of see where it goes. Somewhere in the top 50 would be lovely. But if you're somewhere around 60 to 70, if you got offenses that can score more than 37 points per game, you got opportunity to win a lot of games.
And we kind of talked about this ad nauseum since we did the defensive line position preview about them being the most important position group for me. Because I think the linebackers are going to be improved. I think you got 5 guys that could cover. But again, that coordination piece, what's going to allow them to be aggressive is if the guys on the back end and can cover. Again, they always work together. If you're putting pressure on the quarterback, defensive backs don't have to work that hard or that long. Same thing. If the defensive backs got them covered up, then eventually that pressure will get there. But I think, like you said, a whole lot of stunting in that front 4, because I'm going to use 0, and I'm going to put him in areas, like I say, A gap, B gap, put him outside, both sides, to get pressure on the quarterback from that second level. But Kilburn said it just the other day. We have to have that interior pressure. And I think what's going to allow them to be aggressive, doing stunts, moving guys around in gaps, and not necessarily, getting the fight taken to them, but taking the fight to the other team, is that coverage in the back end. And a guy like Byron Murphy, I just saw his name popped up, and yeah, he's to me, he's the guy that's going to stir the drink. He's going to, fire in the gap. They're looking at Broughton to do kind of the same stuff, use quickness and speed to get off the ball and fight off double teams. And like I say, September 3rd can't come fast enough, because all this stuff we're talking about is either going to come to fruition or it's not. And we're going to have good things to say about it and not so good things to say about it, depending upon, performance. But I'm excited. 12 days away, 11 here in a couple of hours. And I'm tired of watching last year's film, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I'm ready to watch something else. Like I was watching baseball tonight. I started to put on the spring game again. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to watch Texas Rangers versus Minnesota Twins. First couple of innings, Cole Reagans was pitching. So watch that. And then I'll hop on the Monday night game and then probably rewatch the Dragons tonight, because you see it once and you probably miss things. So I'm going to go back and rewatch House of the Dragons, because Stephen Nagati was obviously tweeting the same time he was watching it, because every scene he had a tweet. So when I went back and got on Twitter, I was like, dang, I missed that. So probably go back and watch that tonight. But yeah, I'm tired of watching last year's film for this year's film to study.
Yeah, I'm going back to doing homework after this show. So I've been drinking coffee, so it's probably going to buy me a snack to eat, and then go back to doing homework as soon as we finish this. That question, man. Go Go ahead,
Can
Jim.
I pull this up real quick? And then I know you got one because Byron is causing the other defensive linemen to play harder. I hope that's the case. We always talk iron sharpens iron. But if you see a guy in your position room who's kicking a lot of tail and he's constantly getting complimented for his, when evaluations for tape come around, hey, Byron, great job doing that. Great job doing this. Hey, I really like what you did there. That stuff is said in front of his teammates. So maybe they're taking some things that he does really, really well, and it probably goes across the board. There's some things that probably other defensive linemen do well that Byron doesn't do as well, but that's why you put these guys in a room and you start talking about it. But hopefully that – I mean, we always talk about iron sharpens iron when we talk about offensive line versus defensive line, but yes, teammates within the same room pushing each other to be better is absolutely necessary.
Yeah, but I also got to agree with our guy Ellison here, man. Coburn says that every year. So, like I've said before, man, the proof is in the pudding. You can only say it so many times before, people eventually want to see it. If you go back and listen to every media availability that he's probably done and other guys have already, done, previous to, starting each year, we're kind of in the same situation. So I think it's important that we see the proof in the pudding, and my burnt orange glasses are going to stay off until you see that. Like I said, average to good defensive play will win you a lot of football games when you have the offensive weapons that you currently have. I want to go back to our guys, Scott Sheraton here. Do you think the offense will be somewhat vanilla until conference play? I don't think so. I think at Alabama you're gonna pull all the strings out. You're gonna show a whole bunch of stuff during the Alabama game. I don't think you're going to keep it vanilla. I think Steve Sarkisian is going to hone in on what he thinks he can, how he could beat Alabama. And I think you're not going into that game just to hope you don't lose by 21 or 28 or 35. I think if you were to show your team that you're not pulling out all the stops, what confidence does it show your team? So I think, on the defense side of the ball and the offense side of the ball, I think they are going to pull out every possible play they feel comfortable running for that game. I don't think you're going to see vanilla against Alabama. And if you're showing things at Alabama, I think UTSA coming in, they had a hell of a season last year. What you don't want to do is take them lightly after Alabama before you get into Big 12 play, because that wouldn't look very good either.
I always talk about putting as many different formations, personnel packages on against ULM for Alabama to prepare for the following week. I kind of feel like you got to do the same thing throughout all of non-conference. Again, I think they're going to empty the tank against ULM, so there's probably not much they will leave in the tool bag unless Quinn Ewers can't run it for Alabama. But I think they're going to put so many things on tape for Alabama to have to worry about, because again, not discrediting UTSA. They have a great football team. They won a lot of football games over the last couple of years under Jeff Traylor. But the one game that everybody's looking at non-conference is Alabama, and how do you trip them up on defense is by getting them a lot of things to prepare for, a lot of different things to see. So when they get on the football field at DKR on the 10th, you may be able to cause some confusion with their secondary and get Xavier Worthy behind it, JT Sanders running down the seam. Because, again, I think you're going to score against Alabama. Like Clint said, I think it's just going to be one of those things of keeping those guys out of the end zone and your defense performing that particular day. And, like I said, that 100% effort, 100% discipline that's going to be required to make that a football game.
Yeah, man. What else we got here? Kind of want to see some 20 and 21 personnel set with Rojo and Bijan in the backfield. I think you are, man. I think that he said that he's prepared to run 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 2 back sets. I think the list goes on and on, man. Steve Sarkisian's got a big playbook. And when you got guys like, Roschon Johnson, Bijan Robinson, that running back all together, that running back room, sometimes, Roschon come in and lead block for Bijan, and sometimes you fake the run to Roschon and you got Bijan running a damn wheel route on the linebacker. You're setting yourself up for success. So I definitely see two running back sets.
The only formation I might disagree that I wouldn't want to see That much is 20. I think Jatavian Sanders and Jaleel Billingsley are matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties. So I probably wouldn't prefer 20. I mean, I have a lot of different formations with a lot of different weapons, and I just think by going 20 personnel, unless you're just going to go empty and split the running backs wide and go empty, that's another thing. And then I'd probably still have Jaleel Billingsley or him in the slot, working against a backer. But yeah, definitely 21. I want Roschon and Bijan to be on the field at the same time, but I'd like to have at least one tight end out there with them. Just my thoughts.
Yeah. You do spread them out wide. You got Jaleel Billingsley and Jatavian Sanders and Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson got really good hands. They're like extra wide receivers. So you need to put some empty on that ass and see what he said. Rob Babers thinks
buddy
the
from
same
High
thing.
Five. I'm telling you, he wants two backs and he wants empty. And he'll tell you for 55 minutes of a 60-minute show. That's why I love having him, man. But yeah, that's the two formations. And like I said, when he was telling Steve Sarkisian that, he was spitting numbers at him. You were in empty this many times. You were successful this many times. You hit this many explosives. When you were in 22, same thing. Rod was fiery, just as fiery as he was the other day when he was talking about Quinn Ewers winning the job. The moment he saw the Rapid in the locker room and Xavier Worthy or Twitter photo and all those things, the popularity contest, the election as he calls it, was won. But he was just as fired up when he was talking about 22 and empty.
Yeah, I think empty just you got so many elite guys, man, on the offense that you can put you can put the defense in some matchup nightmares, man.
Somebody's going to be open.
And with Quinn Ewers' arm and the way that he tosses that thing, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. So we need to put some empty on that ass. I definitely agree with you there, Mr. Ellison. We actually had an opportunity to meet Mr. Ellison at the High Five event. Met some of the players and so on and so forth. So I'm with you on that. Hopefully they don't take away our commercials because I said the word ass. I think I might have said shit a couple of times tonight too.
Oh man,
they take commercials away for that, dude, or what?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. Hey, sneak Brennan Thompson out there. There was an Eagles receiver. I don't remember his name. I just saw it on Twitter. I watched the game. That kind of worked down the seam and blew past the safety, and somebody underneath it or quote tweeted above it said, "This is Brennan Thompson." And again, 10-2, 100 meters. If you get him on an island with somebody, and especially a safety, like I say, he lined up in the slot, worked himself across the middle of the field, almost to the linebackers, then cut it up and just torched. And Quinn's got the arm strength to be able to throw it. You're probably going to see number 11 on the field a couple of times, trying to extend the defense is vertically. Not that we don't have other weapons like that, because Xavier Worthy can stretch a defense vertically as well. But 11 is going to probably get some run, and he's probably going to be asked to do a lot of that.
That guy was a championship hurdler. I don't remember at what distance he ran the hurdles. I don't know if it was 100, 200, 400, whatever he was doing. But that guy was about 10 yards behind and then pulled away. He was I don't know who it is, world champion hurdler. I know that. I'm not sure if it's world champion or national champion or whoever it was, man. But it was crazy scary to watch, man. But Brennan Thompson can do the same thing with his speed, with his electric speed.
Unbelievable.
I think this is a good question, man. Robert Muhammad, will we be able to handle the outside inside zone this year? Do we have the players in scheme to do it?
I was reading some stuff like that when we were talking about OV. We were talking about Dorba. I think that's why you got guys like Finkley in here who are bigger. That's why you got guys like Tapp who are in here who are bigger. You're hearing Ethan Burke's name start to come up, 6'7". Again, he's a little slider. Like Clint says, the proof is in the pudding. I hope that it's a gap soundness issue and not just guys getting dominated at the point of attack. But Robert, that's one of the things, like I said, I'm going to focus a lot of my attention on the defensive line game one. And I know ULM probably doesn't have the offensive line. I know they don't have the offensive lineman that Alabama has, but I just want to see how our guys are able to get off blocks and understand what their gap responsibilities are against inside and outside zone, because I feel like we're going to see it. And again, 5.2 yards per carry, both inside and outside. Most folks will tell you it was outside zone that tore us up. We're pretty good on the inside. To me, 5.2 yards per carry, regardless of where it's at, is way too much. Again, your interior defensive lineman, the guy that's been here for 5 years, talked about it just the other day. But I can't answer your question right now. I think the scheme is there to do it. Again, we talked about 3 down linemen. We talked about 4 down linemen and what that looks like, and who the personnel packages on our starters would be. And again, for me, it would be Murphy with the Jomo and Collins beside him. But again, if you go into that too deep, you still got Sweat and you still got other guys who we've been told that are performing. I think it's when you get to that edge and you get to that jack position and you're talking about undersized guys who are walking around at 220 pounds and having to take on tackles that are 320. And what does that look like? That's why I said for me, it's a 3 down front. And then I put backers all over the place behind them.
So Alfred Collins should be able to set the edge. And he did it multiple times last year. The problem is it's just inconsistency. You see it's like splash plays. But I think he's your best bet to kind of set the edge. I want to talk about this comment here. Brennan Thompson in orbit motion and a nightmare for defenses. Hell, the fake orbit motion. You know, like the hell I'm coming out here like he did with help me out, man. Devontae Smith against Ohio State in that national championship game. Hell, they didn't know what to do. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. It was like he would come halfway across the damn field, then come back, and the damn cornerback is on the other side of the field, not really realizing that Devontae Smith's on this side again. He had Ohio State all up in some situations, man. But I think you could do it with that Brennan Thompson because Brennan Thompson's fast enough to go halfway back across, but then he's got 4 or 5 yards on the guy that's probably going to get caught up in the wash with the linebackers just trying to get back across the field. Again,
it makes the defense move pre-snap. Again, if Quinn has a question, and again, those things are called in from the sidelines, depending upon if Brennan's out there or not. Again, you could do the same thing with Xavier Worthy. You could do the same things with any receiver, but they got to have the kind of speed those guys got. But what it does is allows Quinn to move the defense one more time to possibly get a look at what they're offering. And then if, like you say, if they don't use it, you know, if it's used as a decoy, it still gives them something pre-snap to look at. And then if they don't cover it, but they don't throw it, then it's something they can go back to later in the game.
Yeah, I like that orbit motion stuff that he does.
I know you do.
I
like it all. I like when guys are moving before the snap of the ball anyway, because like I said, it kind of helps me as a quarterback depict, you know, zone or man. It kind of helps me understand the strength of the coverage. Who's got help over the top? Is X one-on-one outside? Can I get Jordan Whittington sitting down on a curl route, 10-yard curl route? All that stuff helps pre-snap diagnosis for the quarterback. As long as you can get to the line of scrimmage, you know, if you break the huddle and you only got 10 seconds left, it takes a lot of stuff outside of your playbook. So I'm interested to see with a brand new freshman quarterback, a young offensive line, if we're going to do a lot of, you know, hurry up, because that stuff historically has worked against a team like Alabama. Is keeping them on the field, not allowing them to substitute those second team linemen that they like to do. So like to see how much we utilize that. I don't know if we're going to utilize it a bunch against ULM, but if we're going to do fast break, you know, football, start with Alabama.
Okay, going back to Ellison here. That's what they plan on using Demo for to stop these zone run schemes. The safeties will be pertinent to us really crushing it. Again, you didn't have an opportunity to go listen to our defensive backs preview. We talked about the tackling ability of Anthony Cook. And Anthony Cook is probably the best guy to be around the line of scrimmage if you're bringing a safety into the box. It's just because he's able to tackle so well. He missed a total of 2 tackles last year playing at the star position. So, but I think DTD, Tucker allows you to be able to move Marvin Overshone around. The last guy you brought into the transfer portal was an FCS guy from James Madison. That's really going to give you an opportunity to probably use your key weapon on defense, and that's Marvin Overshone in a lot of ways. And one of those ways is, again, we got to stop the run first. But I think you have the cornerbacks. I think your cornerbacks have the ability to be left on an island to be able to make plays. We talked about Jameson a little bit in our defensive back previews. It's really about consistency, not falling asleep at the wheel. When you're in the game, you got to be paying attention to the game. You shouldn't be getting beat over the top, especially with his speed and his athletic ability to go up and get the ball. And I think Ryan Watts on the other side is your guy that you're probably going to leave on the island and press man coverage. Show press man coverage, and if you think you need to bail, you've already showed the quarterback of the other team. You're just going press man coverage. Now now you bail. He has to make a decision before he throws that ball.
And I threw this up here because me and Clint had a discussion the other day, Mo Blackwell versus J.D. Coffey, because Mo was a converted linebacker who didn't spend a lot of time as a safety, talking about his ability to cover, but we know he comes downhill. He's my favorite player on the team, minus the starters. I just like special teams, the guys who like to make contact. Mo will come up, get that. He has that hit stick. It's going to be interesting to see how they utilize Mo Blackwell and where he sits in the two deep as the season progresses. But I really, really love the player. And if they sold a 37 jersey, I'd probably own one, probably in the icy white version. But I saw Steve Sarkisian's little jacket that he has, a little sleeveless jacket. I told the wife I need to start spending some money on the Longhorns website. I need to build up the closet a little bit for this offseason. Really like that sleeveless jacket that he had on during the press conference today. But I would give me a 37 jersey. He's one of my favorite players.
This is very true, Glenn Keller. FCS All-Americans are better than third-year blue-chip recruits or blue bloods with zero production. Absolutely, I agree with that. Again, you're talking about a guy. I think they went from FCS to FBS this year, but James Madison was a perennial program at the FCS level. Hell, you can go back and watch all their semifinal games, and I think they played Sam Houston State, if I'm not mistaken, last year. I think it was last year, or maybe the COVID year. I think they played Sam Houston State University for a semifinal. So I actually went back and watched some Tucker film as well.
Can't wait. He's another football player. Can't wait to see. Instinctive, little undersized, but we'll see. Like you, I'm confident that he's going to be able to man that middle along with Jalen Ford to his left or right, and then that's going to allow DeMarvin Overshown to be that puzzle piece that offensive coordinators are going to have to figure out, and quarterbacks are going to have to figure out what he's doing pre-snap. But excited to see number 2 get after it. He wrote a little comment today. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. They went all summer long, right? 100-degree temperatures. They're working hard. And then the moment they stop fall ball, rain starts coming down, 80-degree temperatures. So he was like, I see how you're doing this state, Texas. But he's the guy we follow on Twitter. He's got a great attitude, and I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah. Cody Phillips, per Sark's comments about the offense revolving around Quinn is good at, comfortable with. What do you think we will see a lot of in week 1? I think I don't know if you can definitively say we're going to, again, you're playing at ULM. The one thing I like about Sark's comments was they asked him, do you plan on rotating quarterbacks? He's like, absolutely not. Quinn Ewers is my quarterback. Again, he's going to have a longer leash, longer rope than what we've seen last year. And this is Quinn's football team, man, and Quinn's going to get a lot of reps. And I think that you probably won't see the backups come in until probably middle of the third quarter. At least they're going to come out of half and probably run a drive or two, and then they'll put whoever they need to in after that.
Totally agree. Yeah, we had this conversation with Candace the other day asking us, how early can the starters come out? And I agree with what Clint said. You want to go through the halftime sequence. You want to walk out on both sides of the football, and if there are any adjustments, you want to see that the adjustments you made at halftime or carried on the football field, and then hopefully you have a significant lead going to the latter part of the third quarter. And then, like I said, Hudson could get some snaps, but a guy like Malik Murphy can get out there and get his first college experience, a little bit deeper down the depth chart. You see guys, you see all the 6 receivers that we talked about a little bit earlier get repetitions, like a Brennan Thompson, like a Savion Red, and then you go through your backfield and get all the way to Jaden Blue, and then more importantly, getting these offensive linemen who are new to this program, and because a lot of them are going to play, not just the 2 that are going to start, whether it be Cole Hudson and Kelvin Banks, but DJ Campbell should get a lot of run. Neto Umeozulu should get a lot of run. Malik Ogbo, they should all get snaps in a college football game before Alabama, in my opinion. But it's probably going to be, like you said, in that late third quarter, early fourth quarter timeline.
Yeah, they'll identify who they're going to redshirt, but a lot of these guys have got 4 games until you're redshirted. So to me, you let these guys play all 4 games, get as many reps as they possibly can, and then sit them down for the rest of the season.
Non-conference, everybody plays.
Yeah,
if available.
If available, yeah. All right, man. Hour and 31 seconds. I told Jeremy earlier, man, he called me. He's like, how long you want to do? I said, let's do 30 minutes. And then Jeremy talked to me into 45 minutes, and now we're sitting at an hour. But this is going to be our Monday show moving forward. Again, Mondays, Thursdays will be our pregame. Pregame talk. We'll break down obviously the opponent, what we expect, talk little numbers, rushing yards. How's Quinn Ewers going to do? How many yards is Xavier Worthy going to go for? Hell, what's Jatavian Sanders? How many touchdowns is Jatavian Sanders going to catch in the red zone? We'll start going through those, and then on Saturday, be a live game chat for the members of the inner circle, and then 2 actually live game conversations with Jeremy with the game on against Alabama and Oklahoma, which should be fun. And I'll probably jump in there too, man, depending on how the game's going. And if I hadn't had a stroke yet, blood pressure gets high. And
Oklahoma, I'm going to be living with you. So I'll probably drag you up wherever your office you give me. I'll probably drag you in there. I think things are going to go well. I think we're going to have a great showing against both those teams. I feel really good. Burnt Orange Glass is not completely on yet. I got to see a couple of football games, but I'm feeling pretty good about everything I'm hearing. But you always feel that 12 days out from the season, you get fired up. All the emojis are firing off right now. It's kind of taking my attention. But again, there's 154 folks in here, 126 likes. I think we're like 34 subscribers away from 4,000, 34 subscribers away from 4,000. So if there are any non-subscribers who are currently watching this episode, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. Again, Clint kind of laid out our schedule. Been working really hard to provide good content. 33 subscribers from 4,000. I'll stop looking at that because I'll give updates every time somebody hits it. But please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please join the Inner Circle. If you have questions about that, you can DM us on any platform that we have, and we'll hit you back with how it works and what it offers. But yeah, just a great show. Appreciate you coming on and doing a little longer than what you had planned.
All right. So you can find us on Facebook at Texas Football Talk, on Instagram at Texas Football Talk, and on Twitter at TX Football Talk. We'll see you on Thursday. Hook 'em.